Okay, so next slide. So we just talked then about forward body lean, active takeoff foot, chest open, high top hand, relaxed shoulders. So relaxing shoulders mean that they're not stopping your chest from coming inside, and then bottom arm, elbow turned out. So it's all about getting this stretch through your chest. So you can see here, great photo of Eliza at the World Juniors last year in Eugene, and she's got that great big C-shaped stretch coming through her chest. Okay, so she's hitting up high with her hands, but letting her chest drive all the way inside. So you can see the difference between two different technical models and two different takeoff positions. Okay, here, Svetlana Firfanova. Here, Pavla Hamachkova. Hamachkova was European indoor champion, world indoor champion, world championship bronze medalist. Very successful pole vaulter. Her coach will tell you, until he's blue in the face, that this is the way to pole vault. Now for me, pole vault's not like a religion. There's many ways you can pole vault. The French have a technique. The Czech have a technique. The Russians have a technique. The Americans don't really have a technique. They just do pole vault. But if you want to believe in a technical model, then you have to ask yourself the reasons why. Which technique, in your opinion, is going to lead to less injuries? Yeah, she's got free takeoff. So she has less extension and rotation in her lumbar spine. She has less chance of back injury. There is less extension, excessive extension in the shoulders. You've got less chance of shoulder injury. This girl was extremely strong, but was injured a lot. This girl is more slider, lighter build, and was able to jump very high, you know. So I would recommend this technical model. Boleslav Patira will recommend this technical model. But it's whatever works for you. But in my opinion, this is the way to go. And that's part of the reason why. So after we've taken off, we've got our chest open, and then we're going to tap with our trail leg, and then the chest closes. So if you think, Alan showed this analogy once, if you take your finger, put it on your leg, and then try and hit your finger as hard as you can onto your leg. So everybody do that now. Put your finger on your leg, try and hit your finger as hard as you can. Now pull your finger up and let it go, okay? It's pre-stretch. So here, you get pre-stretch, then you get tap, then you get better swing, okay? So the problem is if you've got closed chest, your hips are underneath, all you can do is lift your legs. You can't swing your legs. Anybody who's done gymnastics understands how a giant swing works. At the top of the giant swing, you're open, you tap through the bottom where the riggers are, and then as you hit perpendicular, you close into this shape to then come around again. So it's open, close, open, close. And it's exactly the same here. Problem we have in pole vault is you have two pendulums. You've got the pendulum of the pole rotating and the pendulum of the vaulter rotating. And the pendulum of the pole rotating, how many times have you seen a vaulter come in and go vroom like this? And they get incredible height, but then come down on the bar. And they can't understand why they're not moving forward. So you have to make sure you're moving this pendulum and moving that pendulum at the same time, okay? Really important. So here, great photo of somebody tapping afterwards and their recovery of the arm. So your arm wants to come in, then it wants to hit back, and then push deep. So when the leg is roughly in this position here, the foot's there, this arm should have straightened. Okay, so this picture of Joel was taken just after his leg swung through. So it's a good thing to watch on video. When you're in this position here, chest comes inside, then you tap, boom, and then when you get this arm straight, this leg should be coming underneath. Okay? Where's that, Mark?
That's at Lakeside.
Okay.
Have you been there yet?
No.
Tomorrow.
No. Okay, tomorrow.
We'll watch Philip jump there tomorrow.
Okay. Right, so how do we learn how to tap? Here's an example of Steve Lewis at my training centre, my old training centre in Loughborough. Chest inside, tap with the legs, into dish, and then we had a bar set up behind, so then we could practice the bar clearance. That's about 1 metre push off the bar. Okay.
Is he doing that out of a small swing?
Yeah, you can do it one of two ways. I like to, if I'm not filming, then I like to hold the athlete's feet and we go 1, 2, 3, and then they just kick down out of my hands. Or with here, he's just doing small swing to tap. If you get too much swing, then you go past the vertical and then you come into the bar. So it's hard to get the tap.
Can we do that one more time?
Sure. I mean, he's a big guy. He's 191, you know, so to tap and to push like that, it's not easy for a guy of that height. Okay. So after the tap, then we want to go into the pike. The left hand pushes deep down to keep the pressure on the pole, because if you don't keep the pressure on the pole, then the pole's going to kick back. So you don't want to be in this position where you start to creep this arm in, because the pole will come away and then it'll push you onto the bar. You want to keep that bend in the pole as long as possible. You want to put shoulders down and back. So from this position here, you want to be pushing your shoulders down as you're working down the pole with your hand, okay? So you want to be in this position when the pole's at maximum bend. So you can get that catapult effect of the pole recoiling and you coming out of pike, okay? So this was something that Paul Burgess was very good at. So pike to extension. As the pole recoils, the shoulders drop, hips explode up, tight legs and half turn, stay tight and track side. So this is a Ukrainian girl called Anzela Balakanova. Did she jump same time as Emma? Yeah. This is actually a European record, 4:58, something like that. So you can see here she's got great pike position, former gymnast, tight to the pole through the eye position into extension. So this is a great photo of Jen Sir, and this is what I like about this photo, is she's keeping her eyes on her feet. For me, one of the worst things you can do when you're in this position here is have your head back, okay? Any gymnast or diving coach will always tell you need to keep tucked in. When you watch divers spin, they're tucked in. They're never like this with their head open because it opens the spine out. And you can see Sir there is watching her feet as she's coming up. You don't want to be sitting up looking like this. You want to be laying back, but then you want to be just looking at your feet like that, okay? Not like that. All right, now with the bar clearance, you want to make sure your hips come high. You want your ears next to your shoulder so you can roll around the bar. And you really want to have stands on 60 to 80. If your stands are closer than 60, then you really need to be asking yourself why, okay? Hooker used to jump with his stand sometimes on 40, but you know, he's at the real top end of what you're trying to do. If you're not jumping at really top end type heights, always think about safety. If you can't clear a bar with stands on 60, then maybe you should have a lower grip or a softer pole. It's important to land deep and land safe, okay? Do you remember when pegs used to be like that? Yeah? How times have changed. So I like this photo of the French girl, because you can see really how she's keeping her ears in, keeping that shape, rolling around the bar, okay? If you're in this position here, coming down the pole, and then you lift your head up, then you lose that alignment, see? So you have to keep right in, try to roll around as you're coming around that clearance. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about takeoff. Here's Kate taking off. You can see left elbow out, chest inside. Here's some drills that we did to work on takeoff. This is Sally and Abby demonstrating. So we can go through this a couple of times if you want. So it's one step, stiff pole, moving the pole forward. Same again with coach's spot. And then we'd work a series of drills off boxes. So 2 steps with a plate. 2 2 steps with the pole, still not going in the box on the side of the track. And by not using the box, you have to really jump over the pole. I think it's really important to do stiff pole drills on the side of the track because you don't feel the support of the pole in the box and you don't lay back on it. You have to jump and push there. And then we go into the box, stiff pole with a spot from the coach. And then we start to bend from 8 steps. So you see the progression. So 1 step out of the box, 2 steps out of the box, 4 steps out of the box. Then we start to go 4 steps stiff pole in the box, 6 steps stiff pole in the box, 8 steps starting to bend. I don't bend very often less than 8 steps. Normally I like to keep it about jumping up and moving the pole forward and not trying to bend from too short a run, okay? Anybody want me to play that one again? Okay. Yep. I'll go back. So you can see it's all about hitting up into the top hand. Foot's dorsiflex, we're working on ground strike here. Kate was a gymnast, so Kate had terrible plantarflexion when she came to me. That's one of the reasons why she had Achilles problems, because her previous coaches had never worked on getting plantarflexion into dorsiflexion, and it caused her major issues later in her career. And we had to do a lot of stuff to get dorsiflexion to be natural for her. Okay. So sandbox. This is a training aid that I developed when I was in Loughborough, and I'll talk about how it worked here.
Hi, my name's Steve Rippon. Welcome to the Olympic Training Centre for pole vault at Loughborough University. This is our sandbox. I think this is a pretty unique training tool we use, and we use this in our early preparation phase to try and make sure we enable the guys to get a really free takeoff. I'll show you how it works. So basically what we've got is a regular box here that we've just set into our long jump run up and goes into our sandpit. And what we've done is we've cut out the back of the box. This enables the pole to slide from the box into the back of the sand and give the guys a free takeoff without getting jerked. I'll show you what we do to build the back of the box up. Okay, so there we have a mixture of water and sand together. Gets a good resistance for the pole going into the box. So we take our regular pole vault pit from here and we drag it, set it up over the sand pit, and then the guys come in and do vaults from whatever approach we're working on at the time. We have guys come in from full approach using poles they've never used before because they have the confidence to know if they don't get their step exactly right, they won't get ripped on takeoff. That makes a massive difference to them psychologically. But as you can see, as the vaulters coming in, if they want to take off, this is our 4 metre mark. If they want to take off at 4 metres and then they get caught a little close and they take off at 380, then the pole will slide into the sand for an extra 20 centimetres and they won't get jammed on takeoff like you will in the box. Everyone knows how it feels to take off under, and if you're jumping for the first time on a pole you've never used, or a grip you've never used, then bang, all of a sudden you've ripped your shoulder out, jammed your back. You could be out for a couple of weeks on the physio's bench. So this is great because you've got confidence that you can run off the ground, your foot will find a natural position, and then you can get into that free takeoff position, push higher into the pole with the confidence of turning it over. We'll show you some videos now of how it looks when you come from full approach.
Steve's on 5-10 poles here. Okay, so we do this training normally on Monday at the start of the week. So we work on run, take off and plant at the start of the week. On the Wednesday, I'll talk about later a bit about planning. On the Wednesday, then we go to the box. And we'd always do longer run here than what we were doing actually into the box on a Wednesday. So we practice 12 steps here while we were doing 8 steps in the box on Wednesday. Practice 16 steps here while we were doing 12 steps on Wednesday. So this was always a precursor to get that run up rhythm right. And the key thing for me with this type of training was when we do 12 weeks of preparation training, you're doing a lot of lifting, a lot of running. It's only natural that your running stride is going to change. But if you're constantly running into a box which has a fixed point, then you will focally steer and adjust the run to keep the rhythm the same. But you want your rhythm to change as you develop physically. So this enables you to do this because it doesn't have a fixed point. So then you can run off to a more natural takeoff position. Okay, extension. So one of the things we worked on Kate a lot was her extension on the pole. And this is some drills we did for that. So this is a bungee with a bag on the end of it. We use that on the pole. Okay, so it's just about trying to replicate the movement in different ways or different variations. It's funny how girls struggle to half turn much more than boys. I'm not sure why, but it's pulling, turning, staying on that line as you go through is really important. And if you've got an athlete who's got problems, I like to do a drill, do a jump, do a drill, do a jump, do a drill, do a jump, not just jump, 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 and it doesn't get any better, okay? So you have to try and find ways to solve problems. Okay, bar clearance. Kate had unbelievable trouble knowing where she was when she was clearing the bar. She would get off the pit and she'd say to me she had no idea what had happened. So we did a lot of stuff for a gymnast, like she was a national level gymnast, just below international level. She didn't have great spatial awareness. So one of the tools we used was this downhill runway, which I know Ray has now. I saw this first when I was in France back in about 2000, and I didn't really understand the concept. But when I spoke to Galfion, he said to me, it's about practicing the second part of the jump, not the first part of the jump. But I was greedy, I wanted to try and do both. So their run was very short, very steep, so they could use stiff poles from like 4 to 6 steps. In Loughborough, I had a run that was 8 steps long with 2 contacts on the flat. And now in Finland, I have a run which is 10 steps long with 3 contacts on the flat. And I've actually bought 7 more flat sections so I can make that longer and longer and yes, use less incline. But here's how it looks. So Kate's using competition pole here, doing a hard bar at 465. We would do this in our 3rd pole vault session of the week. She could do about 60 jumps in training. It increased the number of repetitions she could do. It improved the confidence that she could have because she could hit her competition poles in training instead of doing it just for the first time in competition. And it made a huge difference. Quite a lot of people around the world now use this, but I think we were one of the first ones outside of France.
Steve, you say 60 jumps. Is that in a session?
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit now about periodization. So I like to use 3 preparation phases in my periodization, 3 blocks in my preparation. So we do 4-week blocks in the autumn. You have to remember that this is Northern Hemisphere, not Southern Hemisphere. So as we're preparing for the indoor season, which is your summer season, we would do 4 3-week blocks. Then we do a specific prep block. Then we have our comp block here. Then 2-week active recovery. and then we start our spring training ready for our summer. So in the spring, we use 3-week blocks rather than 4-week blocks, shorter cycle, 2 on, 1 off, and then we go to our competition. So it's quite interesting here, you saw that competition in Prague. Kate broke the British record here, 450, and in that last meet in Stection, she jumped 460. So we were able to maintain over a 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-week period, we were able to maintain. She was better. She was at her peak around here, World Championships time. So she was probably, we were still working hard, then we tapered, then we kind of peaked here, then we hung on a bit towards the end. But it's quite incredible that over a 13-week period, she was able to maintain quite high results. So this is what a preparation training week looks like, okay? So we're training twice a day. On the Monday, we're doing pole vault into the sand, like I showed you in the video before. She has physio during the day, and in the afternoon, we do our weight training. Tuesday morning, we're doing gymnastics, and then this is typical running session for this time of the year. 100, 200, 300, 200, 100, walk back recovery. 15 to 16 second pace for 100 meters. So that would be 15, 30, 45 if you're a boy, 16, 32, 48 if you're a girl. Okay, so a little bit slower. All right, so speed endurance workout here. Sauna rest Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday morning pole vault into the box. Weights Wednesday afternoon. Gymnastics again Thursday morning, followed by pole vaulting downhill. These 2 sessions were together. And then speed endurance in the afternoon, a much harder speed endurance running session, something like 5 200s, 6 300s, these kind of harder running sessions. I like to do a lot of low-level plyometrics, a lot of horizontal plyometrics, not much vertical plyometrics. So our plyometric session here is an extra long active warm-up with horizontal plyometrics. And the balance between volume and intensity is critical during each of the phases. So here in preparation period 1, then everything is going to be quite high volume but low intensity. So there's not a great deal of speed to what's happening. Yep. Physio, and then we have this session called gymnastics, which is named after American pole vault coach called Jan Johnson, and he showed me a series of pole vault specific exercises which we do here, which is involving medicine ball, high bar type of work. Saturday morning we do an aerobic hill running session, and then always on Sunday I like to swim. Always get my guys to swim 1 kilometre. So we do 500 freestyle, 500 backstroke. And backstroke's really important because you get little finger to go in first, and it's working the shoulders externally rotating, and it balances up all the stuff that we're doing here with closing of shoulders. So that's a typical preparation training week. And they would go in 4-week blocks in the autumn and 3-week blocks in the spring. And then a competition week is looking something like this. Here's a competition. Swim after the competition is recovery. Activation session the day before competition. So that's just a warm-up with some very light weight training exercises, squat, jump, clean and jerk. Very easy session. Some run-up practice work and then cool down. It takes about 45 minutes, the whole session. And then this session here is just warm up and cool down. So I found if you have very easy training this day, and if you don't fire up a little bit this day, then the guys are getting flat that day. It's just going down. So we have easy day, fire up, competition, recovery. And then this is the key. These 3 days here is what maintains us through that competition block. So we pole vault, physio, weight training, gymnastics, tempo run, sauna, pole vault, massage, weights. So we're still maintaining 2 weight sessions through the competition period. Okay, so there's 3 days of work, 2 days of preparation, then competition. Okay, so the volumes here will decrease as the competition goes on.